In a dense tropical jungle where tribes lived close to nature and every sound told a story, a single act of mischief would set off chaos that no one could stop. It began not with soldiers or kings, but with a clever monkey whose curiosity knew no bounds. In a world where balance was sacred, one creature's playful mistake would awaken the fury of beasts and men alike. The jungle was alive that morning. Birds sang, streams whispered, and sunlight flickered through the leaves. Among the branches moved Koro, a young monkey known for his clever tricks. He was small but bold, his golden fur flashing as he leapt from vine to vine. The humans of the nearby village often watched the monkeys, sharing their trees and their fruit. It had been a fragile peace, born from respect and quiet understanding. But that peace was about to shatter. On that day, Koro spotted something new, a bright basket filled with ripe mangoes near the edge of the human camp. The scent drew him closer, heart racing with temptation. He waited until the villagers left for the fields, then swooped down. With quick fingers, he grabbed a mango and scampered off. But in his mischief, he didn't notice what else he had taken, a ceremonial fruit meant for the tribe's sacred offering. When the villagers returned and found it missing, their fury was immediate. To them, it was no ordinary fruit, it was the heart of their peace ritual, stolen by the creatures they had trusted. As evening fell, Koro watched from the canopy as the humans gathered with torches, shouting toward the jungle. He didn't understand their words, but he felt their anger. The next morning, the first traps appeared, ropes and spears hidden under leaves. When the monkeys ventured down for water, the traps sprang. Cries echoed through the forest as several were caught. The tribe believed justice had been served. But in the shadows, other eyes watched the great apes, the macaques, the tribes of the higher trees. For them, the humans' cruelty was an act of war. That night, the jungle fell silent, waiting, planning. And in the darkness, Koro sat clutching the sacred fruit, unaware that his mischief had begun something unstoppable. The jungle no longer breathed in peace. Every sound now carried a warning. A rustle meant danger, a shadow meant death. The humans, once confident wanderers among the trees, now moved in groups, clutching spears and torches. Above them, unseen, the monkeys and apes gathered. Their calls echoed through the treetops, cries of anger, loss, and unity. At their center sat Koro, still clutching the ceremonial fruit, its golden skin now bruised and dull. He didn't understand why the others glared at him, but deep inside, guilt grew like a thorn. When dawn broke, the jungle itself seemed to awaken with purpose. Branches trembled with the weight of hundreds of creatures, monkeys, apes, and even flocks of birds that circled in the humid air. At the base of the great banyan tree, an enormous silverback ape, their leader, raised his mighty arms, and silence spread across the canopy. Then, with a single roar, the jungle struck. From the shadows, monkeys leapt down on the village fences, breaking them apart with sticks and stones. Parrots swooped to snatch burning torches from the humans' hands. The apes, driven by fury, stormed the outer huts, overturning barrels and smashing wooden poles. The villagers fought back, arrows hissed through the air, spears flashed under the sun. The battle was wild and primal, man against beast, survival against nature's rage. Through the chaos, Koro darted between the treetops, watching the humans he once found amusing now running for their lives. He saw fear on both sides, fear of loss, fear of extinction. When a torch landed near a hut, the thatched roof erupted in flames. The fire spread quickly, devouring the dry wood, lighting up the night with orange fury. The cries of animals and humans merged into one endless scream. By morning, smoke covered the horizon. The village was half destroyed, and many of the monkeys had fallen. The apes retreated into the misty forest, carrying their wounded and their dead. Koro sat on a charred tree branch, the sacred fruit still beside him, now blackened by soot. He realized the world he had known of laughter and play was gone. The jungle had awakened to war, and there was no turning back. The days after the great battle were filled with silence. Smoke hung in the air, drifting above the blackened remains of huts and fallen trees. The once lively jungle had turned gray, the laughter of birds replaced by the crackle of ash and the distant groan of dying wood. Koro moved alone now. His fur was matted with dirt, his eyes hollow and red. The fruit that had started everything lay beside him, shriveled and useless. Every sound made him flinch, every whisper of wind felt like the ghosts of those who had fallen. The humans had rebuilt their fires near the river, their faces hard and grim. Spears and traps surrounded their camps. They no longer sang as they worked, they watched the tree lean instead, waiting for the jungle to strike again. But the jungle was too weak to fight. The animals hid deep within the canopy, their courage burned away with the flames. The apes who once led them limped through the shadows, silent and broken. Nature itself seemed to mourn. Then came the rain. Heavy and endless, it washed over the wounded land. The river swelled, carrying ashes toward the sea. Trees fell one after another, their roots unable to grip the scorched ground. The forest bled into the earth, and Koro watched it all from the highest branch of the last standing tree. When he looked down, he saw a small human child staring up at him from the muddy clearing. Unlike the others, the child did not carry a weapon. He simply watched, curious, unafraid. For a long moment, neither moved. The storm raged around them, thunder echoing across the sky. And in that moment, something shifted. The child placed a fruit fresh and golden at the base of the tree before stepping back. It was an offering, or perhaps a gesture of peace. Koro climbed down slowly, trembling. He touched the fruit, felt its warmth despite the cold rain. Above them, lightning struck, illuminating the horizon, where green shoots were already sprouting through the ashes. The war had ended, not through victory or surrender, but through the quiet realization that both man and beast had lost too much. As dawn returned, the jungle breathed again, scarred, smaller, but alive. And high in the branches, Koro let out a final cry, not of rage, but of remembrance. The jungle would heal, but it would never forget the monkey that started a war.